Good evening, I'm Gabriel Ford.
And I'm Nolan North.
And welcome to a very special first edition
of In Your Kitchen.
It's In Your Kitchen. Starring Nolan North and Master Ramen Chef Gabriel Ford.
We're in your kitchen.
We're in your kitchen.
We're in your kitchen.
Cooking in your kitchen. Tonight on the menu we have authentic spicy chicken ramen.
For the side, we're going to be having some seared bok choy and some gyoza.
Let's start with the ingredients for ramen. Half a pound of ginger, half a pound of lotus root, baby bamboo shoot tips, some soybean paste, half a pound of peeled garlic, a big old slab of seaweed, some zesty chili paste, 5 chicken drumsticks, and of course, fresh noodles. Now for the gyoza. You'll need dumpling wrappers, around a quarter pound of pork, some green onion, that same garlic, soy sauce, mirin cooking wine, a bottle of sake, and importantly, an entire bottle of sesame oil. As for the bok choy, grab as many leaves as you'd like to enjoy. Gabe and Nolan will be focusing on the ramen first, followed by the bok choy, and then of course, the fried gyoza. Now let's get cooking.
Now that we explained the ingredients and the eclectic crowd has shown, what's up guys? Got some hungry mouths to feed. Ready
to get this going.
Let's do this. So step one, we're going to chop vegetables.
For cutting your ginger, you want to do it in about 1/4-inch slices. So if you want to do about like here, or if you want to do about there, that's going to be fine. It's all going to boil out, so you can go about here. And since it's all going in the pot, it doesn't really matter too much about the size. Now for cloves, if you don't have a press, just press it out and chop it up. And we're gonna set aside this garlic right here for our bok choy. That should be about enough. If you want to do an extra clove or two, that's fine. But for the rest of this, we're gonna do full cloves for our stock.
For the green onions, you just need to cut them into 4s. We're gonna toss them right into the stock, so it doesn't have to be fancy. You don't have to peel the carrot, because it's also just going into the stock. Now we can add the vegetables into the pot. Add a couple garlic cloves, as much as you want. We're gonna add the ginger. And we're gonna add some fresh lotus leaves. And we're gonna add a piece of seaweed in there as well. And then we're gonna add cold water. About enough water. So we're going to add a splash of sake just for flavor. Nice. That's how we do it.
According to Wikipedia, sake, also spelled sake, also referred to as a Japanese rice wine, is an alcoholic beverage made by fermenting rice that has been polished to remove the bran.
We just put it on the pot, put it on medium high, and just let it simmer. Cover. Next, you're gonna wash your chicken. We're gonna use drumsticks. You can use whatever chicken you want. Nolan, can you open the lid? We're gonna add the chicken. So we're just gonna let that simmer for 30 minutes. For the next dish, we're going to do the dumplings. I'm going to start peeling some ginger and then chop it up. Rinse it off. Just so I get all even sides. That's fine enough. Next, we're going to chop some green onion into small bits for the garnish. Alright, now that's it. Now put it off to the side. That's going to be for the dumplings and the ramen. Yeah, I'll f that up. Now I'm just going to remove the chicken.
So when you take your chicken out of the pot, you're definitely going to want to start stripping it rather soon. I would recommend using forks. I don't have too much feeling left. So we're going to take the skin off. Now once you take the skin off, you're going to want to take a fork and start to peel the meat back. Now you're going to do this on all the chicken. Take your skin and take your bone, and once it's clean, you're going to put it back in that pot, and you'll see that in just a moment. So as an afterthought, I would definitely recommend letting the chicken sit in an ice bath for a moment. This was pretty hot.
So now my buddy Nolan took off all the bits of meat and left the fat and sinew and the bones and all the skin. This is all the flavor you want. I'm going to add it back to stir it up. And we're just gonna let that simmer for a little bit longer. And now will be the stop. Alright.
Oh, little kitchen boisterous activity.
Take it outside, son.
Oh, sh.
Next we're gonna take the chicken. I'm gonna saute it up and like add some spice to it and make it like a teriyaki soy sauce type of chicken. But I'm gonna use some ginger, some green onion, garlic, a splash of sake. It's gonna be that good. Some mirin, cooking wine. Does anyone have small pinkies?
Oh, wow.
That works. This is why I do it. Enjoy. A little bit of mirin. A little bit of soy sauce. And we're gonna add that chili paste. Oh, look at that. Gonna be spicy, that's for sure. Make sure you mix that up, get that good bits in there. Yeah, that's enough. Mix that all together. Whisk it up real quick, just to mix it nice. You can do whatever you want, really. Next, we'll add some oil to the pan. Now that it's hot, a little sesame oil, and just throw the chicken in there. We'll let the chicken finish and get crispy in the pan. And we'll finish it with a sauce. I'm just gonna add a little sugar to it for taste. That's it. Just a sprinkle. Yeah, I have the setting set at 8. At a medium high. Doesn't have to be too high up. You just want to get a brown on it, but not burn it.
So some of this sauce that he has made, we're gonna take just as much of like the liquid of it as we can, as little meat, as little of the garlic and scallions, And we want to set that to the side so we can use that later on for our bok choy. You're going to take this and you're going to add in just a dash of the mirin. A little bit more soy sauce. If we use more oil here and we break it up, using a knife here, please don't do this. So that right here, we're going to use for the bok choy to cook in. You can see it has a much clearer consistency. If we left on more of the meat, it would have charred. This is going to give it a nice clear glaze.
Now we're getting that chicken nice and crispy how we want it. We're going to add the sauce. This is the red bean chili sauce I added. And we're going to saute that up real quick. Once you turn up the heat to about 8, medium high, so I can get a nice glaze going. And we'll just mix it up.
It smells so good.
Alright. Let that go. Save the dish because we can put everything back into the dish. That's going to be a topping. Take it out. Hand it off. That's what we want. This is the gold that you need. And all that, the bubbles at the top, that's that good chicken fat you want. Carefully pour it back inside. It's hot. And that's going to be the pistachio. It's just about done. I'd say a couple more seconds and we're just going to put it back in the bowl. How does that smell?
Oh, it smells stupid good.
We're just going to take out some of the lotus root, save it for the topping because it's going to be a nice texture to the noodles. And that's about it. Everything else you can either toss it or save it for another stock. We're going to put the chicken back in the bowl. Make sure you get on the side so it doesn't spill. And this is going to be the topping, the meat portion topping for the ramen. Next, we're going to open up the miso. Careful. Don't want to cut yourself. Just open that up. It's going to be like a big goop. Just get yourself a nice glob of it. Like a half a cup. I'm going to add some water. Just enough to cover the base. And then we're going to add some sake. About the same amount of sake. And some mirin, a little cooking wine, another good glob of this good chili paste. Oh, this stuff is delicious. Let's do another one. Yeah. Add a little bit of soy sauce. And that's it. Just like that. So we're gonna put that on the stove and put it on medium high. That's gonna be around 8. And then let it boil into a nice thick sauce. It's all gonna break down and become into a thick, like gravy like.
What do you think, Bill?
I've known Gabe for a long time. He's one of the finest cooks I've ever known.
Perfect time for an exposition. Tell me about it.
From the first time that I met Gabe, he was always a talent in the kitchen. He was always excited to get in the kitchen and get to work. He has been a professional, even though he's an amateur. You know, he does it for the love. You know, he does it for the love and the soul and the passion of it.
I'm just gonna stir up, break up the miso, so it can break down a bit. There we go. Mix it together. We're gonna put that at the bottom of the bowl, and then we add the noodles, and then we add the chicken broth for the ramen. Okay. So we got the noodles. We're gonna add it into the pot. Toss them back. They're already fresh noodles, so you don't want to cook them too long. About 2-3 minutes. You want to let them cook, and we're gonna strain them in here. You can take the miso soup mix off and let it cool. Try and put it off into the back. See how it got thicker? Go ahead and let it cool off there. So we're gonna take it off now. That's enough cooking. And scrape them up. I'm gonna have an individual strainer and use this big strainer. When you cook the noodles in that same broth we made the chicken in and all the vegetables and everything, it's gonna be delicious. Let's plate it. Gonna get yourself a bowl. Get some of this miso here. Look how thick it is. That's going to be the bottom with the base. A little bit of soy sauce mixture in there. And we're going to get some of the noodles. We'll finish it off with the broth. That's a chicken.
So, as he's wrapping up the entree, we're gonna go ahead and get the sides started. So, if you want to go ahead and get your pan to a nice medium high, get a little bit of sesame oil on there. You want a decent amount because you're gonna sear a large amount of bok choy. It's gonna soak up a large amount. Now, we're doing enough for about 7 people, so we're gonna start. So you want to cut it in half. These are how they're gonna look. You're gonna place these, go in a clockwise pattern. That way you know how to pick it up. Start placing them randomly. You're gonna forget which ones were down first. They're not gonna get seared correctly, so you wanna pick them up in the same pattern that you put them down. Get to the end, just kind of go along the rim because you do want all of these pieces of the leaf to get the same sear as the center. The center is what you want to cook, but you want to sear across the whole piece. This one's slightly thicker. We're going to cut that into quarters, thirds. So, because we're searing these, we do want them to get a little blackened. So I'm going to add a little bit of sesame oil on top so they don't just dry out. About halfway through this, we're going to go back to our sauce we made previously. We're going to add this about 3/4 of the way into the cooking process. That way it gets a nice glaze. We're going to save 1/4 of it to top with at the very end. So we got most of these items at a local Asian market. As far as the pork, we went to just our local grocery store. They did not have a plain ground pork, so we did a plain cubed pork. It's perfectly fine. Take that, and usually I'd put a bottom of saran wrap and a top of saran wrap. That way you don't get too much splatter, but we're okay here. And just beat it out. That way, once you cut it, everything is going to have the same consistency as if it went through a mincer. So obviously we're cutting through a large amount of meat, and we do want for our dumplings for it to be similar to a minced meat. So you are going to want to cut this. You're going to want to turn this around a couple of times, maybe. We essentially gave this 2 cross cuts. Probably wasn't enough, so you can always just keep turning this, keep cutting this. It was cubed, so it's already broken down and tenderized. We're just trying to break it down into small pieces, so once it goes into these dumplings right here, it's tiny pieces, so you don't end up with any unsavory feeling pieces. And that should be about good. The sauce that we've previously mixed up, because of the oil, you definitely want to make sure you get the actual sauce there. Alright, so after we have a bit of the sauce, we're going to add a little bit of our ginger, the rest of our garlic here, anything left over. Take this pork and just kind of mix it up. So this is going to be our filling for our gyoza. We're going to take little bits of this and we're going to put that in. And even that was too much. Like you want a tiny amount in these dumplings. Like in a pack, you get tons of dumplings. Just fry up as much as you want. Just take a small amount because these, once they fry up, it shrinks up. Just like that. In your kitchen.
That's right, buddy.
Once you get that burn kind of look where you start getting worried on your bok choy, and you take it off the burner. So you set it off, finish your dumplings, keep doing whatever you're doing. This is what you're going to end up with, and this is perfect. So underneath there, it's very crispy. On top, you've still got all the nutrients. This is where we're going to take our glaze after it's cooled down. And we're going to take a glaze, and we're going to put that over the whole top of it. That back on your burner. As long as you've only got another 2 minutes on this, you're fine. You can turn it back to high heat. Otherwise, I would recommend putting it on a low-medium heat. We're gonna set it to 6 here. So that's gonna give it a nice kind of char on the bottom along with the char we already have, because we don't wanna add too much liquid and just leave it wet. We're gonna let that continue cooking down until that entirely breaks down, continues drying. Meanwhile, we've got our vegetable oil, maybe a bit of sesame oil. We are running dangerously low on oil, so we're going to be tossing our dumplings much more than you should. But definitely add, up to about here on your vegetable oil. Don't do what I'm doing. As you can see here, so what's forming around the sides here, all the burned fats and stuff, the oil is staying to the side. The fat is going to cling to the vegetable matter. And you're ending up with a nice glaze there. So the sugar and all the fat there is staying in the middle. What we're trying to do is just let it cling a little bit more. If you have a little bit of oil left over, that's fine, but we're trying to lose all that. Right, once your bok choy looks like it's burning, that's when it's ready. So what you want to do here, you want to take this off and start to separate this out. You want to put this onto some plates. So as you can see, they still have a nice kind of like chip texture on the outside, but the inside still retain all that moisture, all that flavor. It's a great sound. Next up, we have our dumplings. If you want, you can take the leftover oil. It's got some good flavor, and the bok choy has lost its moisture, so dump that in there. Take this, and just start dumping these guys in there. You're typically gonna want it on a higher temperature, so it's gonna bubble when you drop it in. Like I said, we did not use enough oil today, so we're doing a kind of half fry, half steam here. We'll be tossing it at the end. Don't do this with bare hands. Gabe and I have no feeling left in our fingers. Next up, you're gonna take the leftovers, just the tiny dregs of your sauce here. You don't want too much because it is very oily, so that tiny bit is perfect. And just leave the rest. Just toss. Now, you got your dumplings over here. Those are starting to brown on top. We've obviously tossed them a couple of times. We're gonna check in just a moment here to make sure they're up to 145 degrees, but they look about there. So, those are about ready. Yours would have been ready in about 2.5 minutes. Next up, we're gonna plate all this, and the meal is ready. Next up is garnishing. So, at this point, everything is ready. So, what you wanna do, obviously let these cool down a bit. So let's put these right here. Put these right here. And you want to take just a little bit of that glaze you made, or the sauce you made from earlier, and just kind of drizzle that on top of your bok choy. Now, we're taking our dumplings, and we're going to place these to the side here. These I would recommend serving with like a ponzu sauce, or maybe just like a soy sauce is fine, but I'd go with like a ponzu tasty yum sauce.
Yeah.
Very good. It's delicious.
Reactions.
Just as tasty as hell.
Classic ramen soup. Oh yeah.
That's
Oh, this is like Thanksgiving. Very smooth.